Hello, class. Today we're going to be doing a word prompt about a quadratic equation using the method completing the square. Let's get started. Here is our word prompt. Denise is an artist who works at a shopping center, drawing pencil portraits. She charges $20 per portrait, and she has been averaging 30 portraits per week. She decides to increase the price, but realizes that for every $1 increase, she will lose one sale per week. If materials cost her $10 per portrait, what should she set the price at in order to maximize her profit? So there's three numbers here, 20, 30, and 10. These three numbers are going to be very important and the key to making our equation and finding out the answer. As well, she decides to increase the price, but realizes that every $1 increase, she'll lose one sale per week. This is also going to be very important to figure out what price she should set at to maximize her profit. These four things are going to help us figure out the answer. Now that we know the formula, let's now do the equation. So let's start off with revenue equals 20, which would be the price, plus X, and 30, which is the quantity, minus X. Let X be the number of price that increases, and let negative X be the loss of sales. So now let's cross multiply. So 20 times 30, 20 minus times X, negative X times 30, and X times negative X. This now would equal R equals 600 minus 20X plus 30X minus X squared. But now we got to simplify it. So negative 20X plus 30X, we would simplify it to 10X, which would make our formula R equals 600 plus 10X minus X squared. But now we have to find the cost per portrait. So negative 10 is how much the materials cost for each portrait, times 30, which is the amount of portraits sold per week, minus X. That would equal negative 300 plus 10X. So let's add that to our formula. So now this is what our formula would look like. But now we got to simplify it. We first got to simplify the 10X, 10X's because they have the X. So 10X plus 10X would be 20X. But also we got to simplify the 600 and 300, which would be 600 minus 300. This would equal R equals 300 plus 20X minus X squared. But the X squared has to be at the front. So we now got to switch the numbers around. So now our revenue would equal negative X squared plus 20X plus 300. This would make this compatible for the completing the square method. Now that we have a compatible equation, we can now use the completing the square method. But what is completing the square? Completing the square is a method that is used to solving a quadratic equation by changing the form of the equation so that the left side is a perfect square trinomial. So let's get to the equation that we ended off on the last slide, which is R equals negative X squared plus 20X plus 300. But now that since we're completing the square, we have to put brackets between negative X squared and 20X. This would now make it that. But now, as well, we have to take the negative sign off the X squared and put it outside the brackets. It would look like this. R equals negative bracket X squared minus 20X plus 300. The reason why it's negative inside the bracket is because putting the negative sign outside the brackets causes the inside sign to become negative. So now we have this started, R equals negative bracket X squared minus 20X. We have to find the base rate, which is cost equals base rate divided by 2 squared. The base rate is negative 20X, negative 20. So now we have to put that in, plug that in. Now we have negative 20 divided by 2, which is negative 10. Negative 10 squared is 100. So now we would put that into our equation, X squared minus 20X plus 100 minus 100 plus 300. The reason why it's plus 100 minus 100 is because you're making the cost, setting the price at $100, you're gonna lose 100 sales. But now we got to simplify this by putting negative 100 outside of the brackets. This would look like this. R equals negative bracket x squared minus 20x plus 100, bracket 300 plus 100. Now, to simplify this even more, we can take out the x we can take out the squared on the x, which would look like this. R equals negative bracket x minus 10 squared plus 400. That is a more simplified version. Now we got to find the vertex. And the vertex seems pretty easy. It's 10, 400, because you're taking 10 out of the bracket. It wouldn't be negative 10. It would just be 10. So therefore, the vertex equals 10 and 400. Now, the final thing to do for this word problem is we have to find the price. And it starts off with price equals bracket 20 plus x. Now, what would be x? We look at the vertex we got on the last slide. Our vertex is 10 and 400. 10 is being x and 400 being y. But we have to find the x. So 10 would be plugged in instead of our x. It would look like this. P equals 20 plus 10. Now, 20 plus 10 is 30. So our price would be 30. Therefore, Denise should set her price to $30 so she can get her maximum profit of $400. That's it. That is the end of the question. We have figured it out. Thank you for staying with me, and hope you have a great rest of your day.